The Seasonic G12 GC-750 is part of the new series of affordable Seasonic power supplies. While not a new product per se, especially these days, it is still being sold worldwide for a good price. And today we shall see how good this 750 watts gold-rated unit stands up to today's standards. The Seasonic G12 GC-750 watts Gold is not a new power supply model, yet it is still being sold worldwide and has established itself as a good option for gaming and workspace systems, with a good price, a good advertised performance and a warranty to back it all up, 5 years. What is interesting about these units is the fact that they are not actually made by Seasonic, instead these are made by Hella technology. The main feature of this power supply are the build quality and performance, with the added benefit of the simple and no-frills design. In addition, this power supply is available in multiple wattage variants: 550, 650, 750 and 850 watts. In this review, we have the 750 watt variant, which is the best option around, not only because of the price, but because 750 watts is the right wattage for many modern PC gaming systems that are not using the most powerful graphics card on the market. For electrical protections, we are looking at over power protection, over voltage and under voltage protection, over current protection, short circuit protection and finally over temperature protection. Not bad for such an affordable power supply. Speaking of affordable, the Seasonic G12 GC-750 watts Gold can be had right now for around $90 or euros, or in general under $100 or euros, which is a great price for what you get, especially in terms of warranty. The design of this Seasonic power supply is nothing new. In fact, I dare to say that this design is reminiscent of the older Seasonic units from a few years ago. In this context, even the Seasonic Focus series looks modern and trendy, while this G12 is more on the simple side. But that is not a bad thing, not when we look at the pricing of these units at least. The casing of the power supply is made from the usual metal, more than likely an aluminum alloy with a matte black finish on all surfaces. The front of the power supply has a basic stamped fan grille which uses a honeycomb pattern for added depth element when it comes to the design. The rear side is just as simple, as the G12 has no modular connection and just the flat cables coming out of the casing. The sides are covered by a label which offers you all the technical information you need to understand your power supply and what it can deliver and what it can protect your computer from. The rear of the power supply has the AC socket and the on/off switch, and that's about it. For the cables, the Seasonic G12, as I've said previously, has no modular connection and no modular system to speak of. Instead, all cables are attached to the power supply and will be available for you at all times. These cables are fortunately flat and all black, and thus will match any system you can think of while being easy to route around your case. The ribbon style flat cables are what you need to get the job done and do your cable management with ease, as flat cables are thinner on one side and take less space inside your system. The added benefit of the ribbon shape is that you can stack and overlap cables around your case without them taking up too much real estate. For the packaging, the Seasonic G12 comes in your usual regular cardboard box. There is some protection offered by the box, but nothing out of the ordinary. For the accessories, you cannot expect much. We find an AC power cable, a few zip ties, 4 Phillips mounting screws and a user manual. And now it's time to see what makes this power supply work, and that means taking it apart and voiding the warranty. Remember, I am doing this so you don't have to. Do not disassemble or even attempt to repair a power supply, as once powered on, these power supplies will store electricity within their capacitors and can cause harm to you, let alone the fact that your warranty is voided the moment you remove a screw. We start at the front with the fan, and we can see that for the G12, Seasonic opted for a Yate Loon 120mm fan, which uses a ball bearing system and is rated for a maximum speed of 2200 RPM, with a maximum noise output of 40 decibels and 88 CFM of airflow. This fan can be replaced if it breaks down, as it uses a basic 2-pin connector to power and regulate its voltage and speed. Looking at the internal structure of the Seasonic G12, it is pretty clear that this was not made by Seasonic themselves, but it is in fact by Hella technology. The main capacitor is manufactured by a Taiwanese L-Tech company and has a maximum rated operating temperature of 105 degrees Celsius. This capacitor also has a maximum microfarad rating of 560 and a maximum voltage rating of 420 volts. The capacitors in this power supply are made by Asia X and Chen X, so not really Japan made, but these are also rated for an operating temperature of 105 degrees Celsius. On the inlet side of the PCB, we have no less than 4 Y capacitors, 3 X capacitors and 3 chokes with an additional fuse. We also spot a varistor on the inlet side, which is great for a power supply of this caliber and price tag. One interesting thing here is that we can see a spot on the PCB marked as LED 12V, which means that this platform, or at least this power supply in the future, might have some type of LED array inside, or around the fan more than likely. It is interesting to see, no less. One of the relays used on this power supply is made by Yuanze and has the model number Y32FSS112L. This type of relay has been used before in some affordable power supplies, so it's not a big surprise that it's present here. The resonant controller of this unit is made by Champion and has the model number CM6901T6X. Quite a good component, and we have seen this one on more expensive power supplies, so we can establish that this one is going to work for years to come. When we talk about the PWM converter, we have a well-known and highly appreciated EM8569C made by Excellence MOS Corporation. This is a controller that has been widely used in many power supplies. This includes the Seasonic Focus series from a few years ago as well. This controller is what handles most of the protections offered by the power supply, among other functions that it has and are being used within the power supply system. Made by Champion, we have the CM6502 UHHX, the power supply power management controller, which is mostly used in power factor corrections, or PFC for short. This little chip has a long track record for reliability and performance, being used in a wide array of power supplies from various manufacturers and with various price tags. The soldering quality is not exactly the best or on the Seasonic level of quality, but it's something that will work in time, so no worries here, even though many will expect more from a Seasonic power supply even though it's just branded. Testing a power supply was never easy, and it's not easier now, but that does not mean it's impossible to get an accurate result with a decent desktop system. For testing, I'm using an Intel i7 13700K CPU and an RTX 3090 Ti Supreme graphics card. This system will draw in excess of 850 watts of power at maximum load, plenty of power being drawn from the power supply and good enough for testing our power supply today. To test the efficiency of the power supply, the power draw was measured at the wall socket and within the desktop system itself. For virtual stability and general monitoring, I'm using both software sensors and a multimeter connected to one of the main cables of the power supply. This way, I have multiple ways of measuring the same thing and thus getting a more accurate result. And we start with the efficiency of the power supply, and things are looking good, as the Seasonic G12 reached a peak efficiency of 91.1% with a power draw of 670 watts from the entire system. These results place it in the middle of the power supply pack next to well-known power supplies. Quite a good result from an affordable power supply. Nevertheless, this is just the first test. And we continue with the voltage measurements. In this step, we measure the voltage on our rails using both software and a multimeter connected to the power supply cables. And here the results are good as well. The power supply has some voltage oscillations, but nothing severe, and honestly on par with some more expensive models. When we talk about the actual noise generated by the power supply, things are not that great, as this unit uses a basic fan to cool its internals. While nothing wrong with this fan, things have changed a bit and better bearing systems do exist. With this fan installed, the power supply has a peak noise output of 37 decibels, measured at a standard distance of 10 cm away from the system. Looking back, the Seasonic G12 GC-750 is a good value power supply that can still be found for a decent price tag, and while it is not a 100% Seasonic built and tested power supply, the fact that this has the Seasonic badge brings enough peace of mind to know that this is a good unit. Nevertheless, we are not in the business of believing brands' logos, and thus why we took this power supply apart and tested its performance and reliability. The internal build quality is good enough for a regular gaming system, nothing to complain about except for the lower than expected soldering quality on some components and not much in terms of Japan-made capacitors. Even so, these Asia capacitors are high temperature rated and thus they should be fine for a long time. And while components inside the power supply are not what you'd expect from Seasonic, this unit still meets the goal efficiency standard with ease and will do so for years to come at an affordable price tag. Then, this power supply is a good choice for those that want an affordable power supply unit that will still deliver on its promised performance with a good enough warranty and regular normal looks with no frills. If you like this review, then you might consider subscribing for more, and if you want to support me in a direct way, then in the description below you will find the links for both the Patreon and subscriber star pages of this channel.